What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Disc Golf Nerd Plastic Podcast for Friday, April 14th, 2017. Just wanted to check in with you guys, see what's cracking. I have been up to my usual hijinks on YouTube and whatnot, so I wanted to talk to you guys about what I've been up to, see what's going on with you guys, also maybe talk some of the details from the Texas States. The Jonesboro Open's happening right now. It's another stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but the live coverage doesn't start till later. I don't have a ton of information about what happened today. I know Ricky Wysocki is currently in the lead after the first round with a really nice, clean 13 down. That's wonderful. No secret here that I'm a big Ricky fanboy, and I really like to see him do well. So always nice to see him jump up to the top of the leaderboard after the first round. It seems that that's what he likes to do. He's not one of these players that you really need to watch out for from behind so much, but if he jumps ahead to the front of the pack in the first round, it can be very difficult to track him down. We've seen it at many events, including Worlds last year. He jumped out to the lead and just held everybody off masterfully, and hopefully he can do that again this weekend. He certainly did that at the 22nd Annual Texas States Disc Golf Championship presented by Corey's Bicycle Shop. It's a long name. In Baytown, Texas. This was April 7th to the 9th of 2017, obviously. It took place at a facility called Evergreen Gold. I believe it was a golf course that was taken over by disc golf. I don't think it's a combined facility anymore. I think it is a dedicated disc golf course at this point, but I believe the property was initially a traditional ball golf course. It seems like that's kind of the thing that's happening a lot around the country, after the Tiger boom and golf surged in popularity due to, how good Tiger was and all the things he accomplished and how many people got turned on to golf during that period. A lot of new courses came in, and a lot of them couldn't afford to stick around, so some of those are now being repurposed into foot golf courses and disc golf courses, and some of them are continuing to be a multi-sport facility where they're putting in baskets, but they're still maintaining their golf holes and greens as well. So it's interesting to see how the sports are kind of blending together now that golf seems to be on somewhat of a decline, and disc golf is obviously just growing all the time. I see it so much, and it's really interesting to be a part of it and be kind of in the middle of it in my own way. To see where the sport's been going and where it can continue to go is really exciting, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. So let's talk about Texas State. So I was going to start with me, but let's just go right into it. As we talked about, Ricky Wysocki in control throughout the entire round, the entire tournament. Came out on the first day, shot a 43, which is a 17 under par, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Let me see if I can click over to the hole-by-hole scoring here. This was not a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, so there's not as many statistics and stuff because there's no UDisc out there. It's just the PDGA live scoring and stuff like that. So Rick, just insane. So let's see. This is the final round. The final round, he had three bogeys, which is a lot for him, and actually still ended up winning the tournament. Spoiler alert, ended up winning the tournament by 10 strokes over Paul McBeth in second place, who only managed a 4 down on the final round. He was getting aggressive. He was going for it. He was trying to track Rick down. It did not work out very well for him to do that. It cost him a lot of extra strokes, and luckily he was able to hold on to second place for himself, because it was he could have easily gotten leapfrogged if other players were playing a little better. But yeah, it's not letting me click over. Damn it! It's not letting me click over to the first round. But regardless, Ricky shoots 17 down. It's a 43. He bested the field by many strokes, and there's just, what are you going to do at that point? Guy comes out and shoots that hot, gives himself a 6-throw lead going into the second day, and he's already probably the best in the world at holding people off. And just once he gets his nose in front like that, good luck tracking him down. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. That's the thing. It's really hard to catch somebody who keeps birdieing and keeps scrambling to get pars even when they throw bad shots. Ricky's scramble percentage on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I believe, is first out of anybody. Even if he throws a bad shot and he gets a kick off the fairway, or if he just hits a tree or something and finishes in an unfavorable position, he still manages to get up and down most of the time. I think that is partly because a lot of these courses are par fours and stuff, which give you a little bit more room to play with. I've said it before, if people are concerned about our players playing too far under par and they think that reflects poorly on our sport, I don't necessarily agree. I think the only way that reflects poorly is if you compare it to traditional golf, and we're not traditional golf, we're a different sport, so I don't really care. But some people take a lot of issue with the fact that somebody like Ricky couldn't post a 17 under par, and they think that there's something wrong with our sport because of that. If you're one of those people, you shouldn't be a fan of par fours and par fives, because giving these guys extra shots to get up to the basket to save par, or you can throw a terrible shot off the tee, and you still have another full power throw to get up near the basket to try to get a birdie, or you can throw OB and you still have 2 shots to get up and down for your par. That's clearly a contributing factor to these amazing scores that are getting posted. Obviously, if everything was a short par 3, it would be relatively similar. But if we look at some of the holes in disc golf that we've been seeing lately, some of the shorter, more technical, must-get par 3s can give these guys trouble. There's a lot of pressure on you when you know it's just right there. You just got to throw that little shot and just get it. There's a shot at Vance Park, which is probably, it's one of my home courses. It's the one that's closest to my house by far, and I've been playing it a whole lot since I've moved to this new neighborhood. I'm only like 10 minutes away at most, so I shoot out there a lot, and it's a great place to test putters and mid-ranges, and the occasional driver test on some of the little bit longer holes and that kind of thing. But hole 5 is a tiny little downhill shot. It's just you just float a putter down there at it. I've hit chains on it once, and other than that, I've really haven't even taken a look at acing it. And it's just right there. It's like the easiest shot in the world. It's probably, I bet you anything, if somebody like Ricky or Paul or a top pro were to be playing Vance, they'd probably be jump putting off of this tee. They probably just putt right off of the tee. But for me, I try to throw a little standstill putter, and I usually get the 2, but getting the ace is really hard, and it's just like, it's right there. But there's something in your head that's like, it's just so easy. It should be so simple. Just throw it right at the basket. But to get it perfectly dialed in, it adds pressure that you should get it every time. And sometimes I'll throw it too low, and I won't even get the 2 on there. And it's just like, it's so easy. It adds extra pressure that you should be able to execute that shot over and over again. I think we've seen that at least a few times this tour with short, technical, somewhat considered must-get holes for these guys. Sometimes they have trouble with it because it adds extra pressure in terms of, they must get it. If you're not getting that 2, you're losing a stroke to the field, or at least it seems that way. But we've also seen them struggle on holes like that, where they don't have their full power shot. And it's not just mashing another big hyzer out there and then throwing your approach. You have to throw something soft and technical, putter, and keep it on that perfect line. So I think it's interesting to see how the sport's progressing with that. That's a big tangent. Let's get back to this. So the final round, Ricky ends up shooting a 52 with some bogeys in there. Like I said, 3 bogeys, which is pretty rare for Rick to have that many bogeys. And then also shows you how well he was playing the first and second round. Even though second round he actually shot a higher score, but I think that was at a different layout. I'm not 100% sure. But he had such a great cushion going into the second round and going into the third round that really he didn't even have to play that well to keep his position. He ended up shooting 8 down, which was a solid round on that day for sure. And there weren't too many scores underneath 52 that day. Jeremy Colling shot a 50, which I guess would have been 10 down, to end up tied for third. And other than that, Ricky was the second hottest round. So he comes out there and he's got a 6-stroke lead. And he doesn't take the foot off the gas per se, but he doesn't necessarily go for anything too crazy. But that's not really the game he's playing. He's not one of these guys that's going to go for the Eagle 2 when he can take a birdie 90% of the time, throwing 2 controlled shots to get to the basket. I think that's what we saw at Worlds last year, and that's what we're going to continue to see from Rick. if he knows that he's very likely to get the three, and a little bit likely to get the two if he really goes for it, he doesn't care. He'll take that easy three every time. Maybe you'll get the two on him. You're only going to get one stroke on him. And if you mess up that shot, like Paul did several times, going for crazy shots on the final round, you're going to end up losing by 10, which is what happened. To win by 10 strokes against this field, look at the top. Let's look at the top 10. We got Jeremy Colling, Paul McBeth, Philo Brathwaite, Eddie Ward, who's a young guy who played really well, I think above his rating, but played some really great golf out there. The first round shot a 49, had some struggles in the second round, but still finished third, tied with Nate Sexton, Nolan Greider, who's a legend in Texas, a total stud player, Will Schustrick, John Perry, James Conrad, who's been crushing it, Drew Gibson, Paul Ulibarri, Dickerson, Cam Todd. I mean, this is a stacked field. There was a lot of great players in this field. Peter McBride was there. Oakley, we had Lewis Bitney, all kinds of great players in this field. To win by 10 strokes over that field, tremendously impressive, and basically just an absolute domination by Ricky Wysocki start to finish. And it never even looked for a second like he was going to lose it in that final round. Had Paul gotten a little more lucky or maybe executed some of those crazy go-for-it shots a little more, he might have gotten closer, but I still don't think he was going to track him down unless something really amazing happened. Or Ricky really started to struggle, which we didn't see either of those things happen. Ricky ends up coasting in. You saw a couple of layups on the final round from Ricky, which is rare. Also see some smiles from him. And they said it on the commentary for the Jomez Productions. We'll talk about that just one more second. But we saw it in the commentary. Big Jerm was saying, that's how you know you're in trouble. When Ricky starts picking his putter out of the basket and he turns to the crowd and he gives a little smile, you're screwed. It's in the bag. That's the only time he's going to smile and let the foot off the gas like that is when he knows that it's basically in the bag and that nobody's going to track him down at that point. The lead's too much, and he knows he's not going to make any mistakes, or at least not any kind of drastic mistakes. We saw his birdie or his par, or actually no, it was a bogey save. It was a bogey 5 save on this hole that they were having so much trouble with. I think it was like 15. Really beautiful hole. If you watch the coverage, it's the one that has the rock wall and the basket's perched up on top of the little rock wall. The whole lead card got into a ton of trouble with that. Ricky hit the most ridiculous putt to save a bogey on that hole from down like half in the bushes up onto the rock wall and up and in for the bogey. And when he's smiling after a bogey putt, you know it was a good one, even at that position where he's got that much of a lead. It's funny too that I guess this isn't the Ricky Wysocki show. Just talking about him a little bit. It's funny that just on Smashbox last night, folks are talking about how Ricky isn't very likable and he seems like rude and stuff on the course, and I don't know. I understand why people kind of think that way, but it's really funny, the juxtaposition between Rick on and off the course. I've met him off the course a couple times, and he's just he's just really funny and just kind of joking around and super nice, and he's just a really, really nice dude. It's just when he gets on the course, it's business time. He's not there to mess around and smile and socialize. He's there to win, and he's there to take home the victory. Second place or 20th place, he doesn't care. He wants to win, and that's it. So I like that about him. I think it's great, and hopefully we'll see Rick continue to do well this season. That would make me happy. Let's talk about the Jomez coverage, and we had Big Jerm and Nate Sexton doing the commentary. And at first, it seemed like it took them a little while to settle into a rhythm, but once they did, I've been really enjoying it. I think it's great to have that upper-level pro perspective on some of this stuff and the way they react to some of these shots, because some of the times when you're watching, it doesn't look as impressive as it really is on camera. The distances don't look as far as they actually are, and when you have a top pro who's played the course and they understand how difficult it is to execute a particular shot, it's a great way to emphasize the skill and technique that's involved in hitting some of these lines and executing some of these shots for the average player who's just sitting around watching it. It's cool to have people that are really in the know with it and can truly capture and explain the difficulty and the how impressive some of these shots are. So I think I've been really enjoying that aspect of it. I think they have a good interplay between the two of them. It's a little bit annoying that they seem to only know what players are throwing if they're on Team Innova, but it's not surprising. I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. You know, not once did they say that Ricky's throwing an enforcer or a harp or whatever he throws all the time, even though I'm sure they know what he's throwing, but they're not going to mention that. You know, they're not going to talk about what Peter McBride is throwing, even though they probably know he's throwing Outlaws and whatever. So that's a little bit obnoxious with the kind of product placement because they're both on Team Innova, and also Innova is a big contributor to Jomez. But at the same time, a lot of players are also throwing Innova, and I have no problem with them mentioning that they're, you know, what discs they're throwing, but it wouldn't be the biggest deal. I don't think they're going to get kicked off Team Innova if they say, oh, there's Ricky's throwing his Fusion Enforcer again, or he's throwing a Triple X. Maybe they genuinely don't know, but should be pretty simple to figure that sort of thing out. Whatever, not a big deal, but I've been enjoying their commentary. I think they have a good interplay between the two of them, and I think it'll get better as time goes on. Speaking of Big Jerm, it's no secret that he's an extremely lucky guy, and if you have him on your card, the chance you're going to throw in an ace goes up just tremendously, which is really hilarious, and I don't know what is going on with that. They were talking about it on Smashbox last night, and Ulibarri was saying how it's truly bizarre at this point. Like, there's something to it, and I don't know what is the deal, but he just continues to be there when people throw in aces. It's so strange. So he was there for Nate Sexton, hits an ace on round one. He ends up on Sports Center. There's Big Jerm standing there as always, first to give a high five and stoked for everybody, and it's all good. But then in the second round, he's on the card with John Perry. And John Perry gets an ace. So now he's on the card. Somebody on his card is ace both rounds. And then the final round, Drew Gibson hits an ace, also with Big Jerm on the card. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I hope Big Jerm goes out there and starts a charitable organization on the off season where he'll come out to your home course, pick a little, deuce or die home course, and he'll just play rounds with you out there until you hit your first ace. If you've been playing for more than 5 years, you've never hit an ace, Big Jerm will come out to your town, and it's like a Make-A-Wish. It's like the Make-A-Wish Foundation for disc golfers or something like that. Something along those lines where Jerm will come out there, he'll make your dream come true, he'll help you throw in an ace, because he's just it's just ridiculous at this point. Also, Paul Macbeth hits an ace, also gets on Sports Center. Big Jerm hilariously put out on, I think, Facebook that Paul hit an ace, but he wasn't there on the card, so I'm not sure. Does it count? Does it even count anymore as an ace if Big Jerm's not there, which I thought was hilarious. So shout out to our friend DG Weekly, who is over working with Dynamic these days, working with Bobby and the crew over at Dynamic. He put together a playlist on YouTube. So if you go to DG Weekly's page and you click over the playlist section, there's one called Bridesmaid Jerm. This is 10 different times that Big Jerm was on the card for either an ace or something pretty special that happened. I think only one of these was not a true ace. It was Brody Miller, local guy, who his dad actually owns the Disc Golf Depot, who's a sponsor for some of my reviews. Great guy, Brody's amazing player. I played with him one time, and he's just so smooth. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, really fun to play with him. I'd like to play with Brody some more. He threw in what would have been Albatross during the Beaver State Fling, or maybe even Portland Worlds. I forget what it was, but that's on here as well. So let's talk about some of these. Riki Wysocki with the ace on 17 during the USDGC 2016 last year. Big Jerm there. Devin Owens aced at the Masters Cup, I believe, captured by Central Coast Disc Golf, with a little, I think it was a forehand. It might have been a lefty forehand. I'm not sure. Anyway, Big Jerm's there for that one. Big Jerm was also there for the Dave Feldberg ace from the Maple Hill Open, the really amazing uphill flex shot and crazy wind, skipped it in. That was one of the most ridiculous ones. He was there for that. Then he's there for Nate Sexton at the Texas States, plus 2 other ones that aren't captured on film, like we talked about, John Perry and Drew Gibson. So that's 3 just for one tournament, which is insane. Paul Macbeth from earlier this year at the Gentlemen's Club Challenge, he was there. During the World Championship doubles, his partner, Paige Pierce, hit the ace that made it on SportsCenter. During the 2016 USDGC doubles, Paul Ulibarri threw in from the tee, so it's kind of an ace, but it was for a circle 3, I think, because their first shot went OB, and then he got pissed off and just ripped at it and threw in one of the most ridiculous shots you'll ever see. I totally recommend checking that one. Just insane that he threw that in. It just boggles my mind. Then we got Brody Miller hitting the field ace, is what it's called. So I don't know about the term field ace. It was a sick throw-in. It would have been an albatross when that hole was played as a par 5, but I think they were playing it as a par 4 this year. Either way, it's a stunning shot from Brody. Then this one says it is Big Jerm, so I don't know if that counts, if he actually throws it in himself. But this one, I'm not familiar with this one. Let me watch this one. This is Big Jerm 2013 Pro Worlds with a little forehand ace. And then also Barry Schultz acing at the Spikeheiser Championships from the Disc Golf Guy channel. So it's just ridiculous. I think it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite, just like off the wall weird side topics to think about. The fact that he's always there. You know, when they posted the video for Nate Sexton's ace, the first thing I thought of was like, there's several things about this video that aren't surprising. 1, it was a forehand. Not surprising at all. 2, it was a Nate Sexton Firebird. Also, clearly not surprising for Nate to be throwing his own Firebird and for it to work out quite well. 3, unfortunately, the guy on SportsCenter doing the read was kind of a douche again and called it, I think he said, Frisbee golf, and was somewhat condescending, as they always are when we end up on SportsCenter, unfortunately. Not always, but most of the time. And number 4, clearly not surprising, Big Jerm right there on the card. Nate Sexton said that Jerm actually threw a forehand, excuse me, and it worked out so well that he stepped up, tried it for himself, and spiked it straight in the bucket. So, yeah, I hope to see Big Jerm start a little charitable organization where he comes out to your town and we'll just play rounds with you until you hit an ace. But it might have to be a tournament, though. That's the unfortunate thing. So you might have to just hope for the best. Maybe you'll get lucky and you can be on the card with him for a tournament and get your first ace if you've never hit one. If you haven't hit one, I'm sorry. I feel for you. I know a lot of folks just don't have that luck to throw one in. I have hit a few. I've hit like 3 aces in my life, and I have hit basket and or chains. Probably double digits basket hits and chain hits since I've had the last one stick or close to it. I just can't get one to stay in the bucket. What are you going to do? Actually, when I talked about that short hole at Vance, little downhill I hit the chains on, and we were talking about that stuff, I was actually playing with Jerry and Brody Miller. That was the round I played with Brody and a couple other guys, and I threw my little putter. It was a magnet, dead center chains. Right off the tee, Jerry's watching it. Look at this, here it goes. Bam, splashes in. One of the best players in Portland is watching it. Hits the chains, drops out. Not in. What are you going to do? I've hit dead center chain with soft magnets multiple times and had a kick out on me, but what are you going to do? You know, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. That's a weird, I haven't used that expression in maybe ever, but what are you going to do? That's just how it goes. I'm always out there hunting them, though, and I'm sure I'll get another one eventually, but it has been a big drought, and it's quite frustrating, but at least I got 3 under my belt, and I know a lot of folks don't have any, or they got 1, or something like that. And for the record, I don't count it if it's on a practice throw. If it's not my drive that I'm going to putt from, it doesn't count. I think I've thrown in 1 or 2 maybe during practice throws like that. Not good. I can't count those. That's not how I roll. Let's talk about me some more. Me. This is my channel. I was on the Big Daddy Disc Golf podcast, which was a total blast. Great time talking to, I believe, Jared and Josh, and also Dave Tucker from Tuck Force One. We've worked together on a collaboration video early on in his YouTube career. He's crushing it now. Him and his pops are doing YouTube reviews and stuff and doing quite well. They're building a really great community on Facebook called Big Daddy Disc Golf. Totally recommend you go check them out. They're just a kind of like a support group that's mostly focused around disc golf. A lot of folks in there are trying to lose weight. A lot of folks in there just want to be healthier or just better, happier in some way. And it's kind of just a support group and a place that you can post questions. Really stoked that I actually posted up there to try to find somebody who might want to do a logo for me that would work for plastic, because I have some plastic laying around. I don't have a lot of money. I really wanted a new logo. And a dude named Anthony Suarez from the Heiser Project hooked it up big time. Came through. I traded him some sweet plastic, but he gave me a really rad logo that I really like. You guys have probably seen it already. I've switched it to, all of my stuff on Facebook and Instagram and here on YouTube. I'm using it as a thumbnail. And I really hope to end up having it on some discs relatively soon. Wondering what you guys think about that. If anybody would be interested in supporting me by buying a Disc Golf Nerd stamped disc, I would prefer to get them on some Trilogy plastic, just because I think that they're popular and there's a lot of different mold options in that respect. I think they do good stamp jobs. Their stamping is very nice. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that. There's a chance our friend the Disc King may be able to help me out with it, and I might be able to get some Disc Golf Nerd stamped Lex putters from Disc King. That would be really cool. But it's something I'm hoping to work on relatively soon, and wondering if anybody's actually would be interested in supporting me by purchasing one for your bag or for your wall or whatever. That would be really rad. And I kind of just want one for myself. I think it would be really cool. Give some out to some friends and family, and have a couple for myself. Maybe put one in my bag. It's another reason why I would want to go Trilogy, because I carry some Trilogy molds like the Trespass and the Compass and a few others that I would like to maybe get one stamped up that I can throw in my bag. It would be really rad. It would be pretty surreal if that happened. So yeah, stoked on my new logo. Huge thank you to Anthony Suarez and from the Heiser Project. Go check him out. He's doing kind of like disc golf gear, hats, and keychains and stickers and that sort of thing. I'm supposed to be getting some stuff from him to do a giveaway relatively soon, so stay tuned for that. Speaking of giveaways, I am currently giving away a first run slammer brought to you by Jerry and the guys over at the Disc Golf Depot. Riker Witt hooked me up with this particular disc. He's always over there working at the depot and just giving me a lot of support, and I really appreciate it. So support them. If you guys are in the Portland area, go check out the Disc Golf Depot. It's just a great shop, and ton of plastic and great prices. And also, they hooked me up with this really nice first run slammer. I did the review. I'm also giving it away. So go over to my channel within the next, it is what? Like we said, it's the 14th. I'll probably leave that contest open for another week or so. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to go over there if you haven't seen that already. But chances are, if you're listening this far into my podcast, you've already seen that because you're a subscriber, and you wouldn't have missed a giveaway video, I don't think. I was on Big Daddy Disc Golf. I'm doing my own podcast here, so that's 2. I was on Smashbox last night with a new mini review, so shout out to Smashbox as well. I really appreciate them playing my videos on there. It's kind of a cool symbiotic relationship where it gives them a chance to cut away to something while they readjust or bring in a different guest or something like that. It helps promote for me. It helps their fans hear about some new plastic releases. Hopefully folks are enjoying that. I've been enjoying making them, and I appreciate working with them. It's still really surreal to have me pop up all of a sudden in the middle of Smashbox when I've been listening to the show for so long. That's pretty amazing. So that's 3 Disc Golf podcasts this week. My question was on Disc Golf Answer Man, although it wasn't a question. I just sent in a clip of James Brown music for a minute. Bobby had the audacity to skip through The Godfather of Soul and skip to the end of it to determine that I didn't have a question and it was just funk for a minute. I was hoping they were going to let it play and let the awkward tension build, and then I put a fade out at the end of it. I was going to just do an intro and then ask a question, but I thought it would just be funny to send in some funk because of that episode where Bobby was playing all that funk the other day. I'm sure he's hoping that's not going to be a precedent. People aren't going to just start making them listen to music that they like via SpeakPipe. But I don't know. I like to mess around with those guys, and I think it's fun. And they seem to get a chuckle out of it, which is all I'm looking for. So that's fun. So if you count that, once this goes live, that'll be 4 different disc golf podcasts that I'm appeared on in some way. The Big Daddy Show was by far the most, substantial. I did a full interview with them, talked to them for quite a while about myself and my background and some of the review stuff. We talked about plastic, of course, and some of the, whether you want to support one company or do a mixed bag and all that kind of good stuff. So it was a really great time talking to them. Hope to be back on the show relatively soon. Maybe give it another few months or so, and maybe I'll pop back in there and hang out with those guys. I had a great time just talking plastic with them. It was really fun to be able to sit down and have a conversation with folks that are into it. I have a lot of friends that play disc golf, or some friends that play disc golf, but they're not that into it. And I can feel myself even getting into it, talking with them, and they kind of glaze over, and it's just obvious they're not that into it. They're not nearly as into it as I am. So it's great to talk to people that not only do YouTube stuff, but also are just really into golf and have that camaraderie in the conversation. So totally recommend checking out their show. Overall, it was a fun show, but if you want to check out my episode, I believe it was episode 6. You can find them on iTunes and Stitcher. I listen to it on Podcast Addict, which is my favorite podcast app. You can get all of my favorite disc golf podcasts on there: Smashbox, DGAM, Big Daddy. I've listened to the Upshot a little bit, but I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Dixon Jower's new podcast, On the Box, is on there. He's doing quite well. I wanted to do some more like tournament wrap-up coverage and stuff like that here on the Plastic Podcast, but I just don't think I'm very good at it and breaking it down in terms of all the statistics and stuff. So it just feel like I'm just kind of recapping what everybody else already saw and stuff. So unless I have something specific to talk about, like Ricky's dominating performance or something like that, I might not do full episodes on that sort of thing. Maybe for Worlds or Beaver State, since I'll be there, and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I don't think I'm very good at it, so I don't know if it's worth doing it. If you guys like my tournament wrap-ups for whatever reason, and you want me to continue to try to do more of those, let me know. But otherwise, I might not do them for anything other than the big tournaments, or if I'm already going to do another episode and talk to you guys about random stuff, I will recap the stuff that goes on there. So I think that's all I have for you guys today. Let me pause for a quick moment and make sure. Yeah, that's about it. I got a whole bunch more reviews coming up soon. I still got more Prodigy. I got the Lava Evidence, the Axiom Vanish, or is it the Vanish? I forget the name of it. Axiom. I got another Axiom review of some kind. I got a DDX that I haven't even started testing yet. All kinds of stuff. I got a Page Convict that I'm going to be reviewing relatively soon. The Archer review just dropped, as well as the little mini one on Smashbox. I posted the full review as well. The Innova Commander, the Wombat 3, the Manta. The list goes on. I got a ton of plastic to continue testing. We'll have to see how the weather holds up for that sort of thing. But I appreciate the support of everybody out there continuing to listen to the podcast, watch the videos, and all that great stuff. Much love to everybody out there. Hopefully you guys are playing some good golf. I will talk to you guys later. All right, bye.